Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to another edition of Image Elevators with BJ Coleman. I am BJ Coleman, and today we are joined by a very special guest who's a former client of mine and one of the world's youngest franchisors. She's known for her stretch method that I think you've trademarked.
Yes.
And is a powerful force in the franchising industry. So today I'm pleased to welcome my good friend and former client, KIKA Wise. Welcome, KIKA.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for joining me. How was everything?
Everything is great.
You literally just came in off a flight and you came right here to the studio.
Anything for you. You're amazing.
Stop it. I think
Really.
you're amazing. Let's get right into it.
Get into it.
Before I get too much into your career, can you just share like who you are and what you do?
Yeah, so I'm KIKA Wise. I founded KIKA Stretch Studios in 2011. I turned it into a franchise in 2018. I started the entire business with just $500. So I literally scaled the business from nothing into a national brand. And so in 2020, I started helping other small businesses turn into franchises. And then fast forward 2024, we founded Black Box Franchising. And so now we help small businesses learn how to become a national brand through franchising.
And what you're doing through Black Box Franchising
Yes.
is not just focus on franchising, but also helping the community and the culture in particular focus on becoming the franchisor, correct?
Yes. A lot of the discussion and conversation is on being a franchisee, which is the person who purchases the brand, the small business owner.
Like if I were to go buy a Chipotle
Exactly.
and then open one.
Exactly, but who owns Chipotle, who owns McDonald's? And so a lot of small businesses don't know that they too can build a brand just like a McDonald's. And so we teach them how to do that, how to build wealth through franchising, and how to make their business an actual brand.
Now, before we get too much into that, because this podcast is really about personal branding, personal image, and navigating your own brand to build your career or your life, you started as a dancer.
Yes.
Tell us about that.
Yeah, so I was an actress, dancer. I danced in the city. I did television and film. I acted commercials. I did the whole thing. And then I just got tired of being a starving artist. I was ordering appetizers. I was craving that main entree that I couldn't afford. So I also was pregnant at the time with my son, so I wanted to find something that was a little more stable. So I decided to open a business with no experience.
But where was your passion, and where does your passion lie now? Was your passion in entertainment and the
BJ.
arts?
That is good.
Or is your passion in business and franchising?
That's good. My passion has always been creating. And so as an actress, as a dancer, I was always creative. And then I realized, I could be creative in business too, which led me to develop my own brand, my own trademark, copyright. And so I channeled my creativity through business instead of arts and entertainment.
And the reason why I ask that is because I think passion is the key to success, right?
Absolutely.
Because then if you're doing something, and people say this all the time, if you're passionate about what you do, there's never like
Yes.
work and so forth and so on.
Yes.
But I think that so many people will get into the entertainment business or the entertainment space, and they think that their passion lies in entertainment.
Yes.
But it's not necessarily entertainment, right? Because, for you, for example, it wasn't that, yes, it wasn't just that you wanted to just be an actor. You wanted to create. You wanted to do something. And like you said, you found that you could use this passion of creativity in another industry, in another sector altogether.
Right.
Like for me, I thought I was going to be a talk show host. I thought I was going to be a news anchor or something on television.
Yeah.
And then I fell into marketing and PR and all that stuff. And I realized, well, I love entertainment. I love fashion. I could work in the mailroom. I'd be happy. But I'm too good. I would climb the ranks, as I did. I started in the business as an intern. So knowing that passion is creativity is your passion, what would you tell other people who think their passion is one thing, or how would you tell people to harness their passion into a versatile mindset?
I love that. So I would say you have to first spend time with yourself and understand what really makes you happy, what keeps you up at night. I always tell people, whatever, people are like, what should I do for the rest of my life? It's something that you're naturally good at that you kind of overlook, combined with your passion. And once you find those two things and you put it together, now you found your destiny, your impact. So don't be afraid to spend time alone and just really understand what makes you happy, and then figure out how to make money attached to what makes you happy. Don't just chase the money, chase the passion. But if you do both at the same time, then you've made it.
No, and I think you tapped into something that's very powerful there too, because I find I am at my happiest in my solitude.
Yes.
And solitude is so important, I think, in trying to, which I haven't even discussed with anyone here on the podcast. Solitude is so important in trying to decipher what you want for yourself.
For yourself, and not what
It'll
other
never,
people want.
right. It'll never come to you if you have outside voices, whether that's your family or your friends or your teachers or a podcast. You have to be sitting in solitude and find that. How did you reinvent yourself? Specifically, how did you transition from being a professional dancer to being an expert in a wellness space to creating a brand as a franchisor?
Yeah, well, great question. So the first year in business, all I did was read books on guerrilla marketing, which are tactics to building a business with no money, basically. I had $500. I had to find a way to channel that and grow a business out of it. So I read Guerrilla Marketing, which is an actual book. I read other business books about marketing, and I started putting it to work, marketing, stretching. I was really good at stretching. I was a professional dancer, so I knew that if I taught other people how to get flexible, that they would get the similar results that I received. And so I literally just took a chance. I trusted the books I read. I did my research first, and then I put it to action. And once I got my first client and I charged them a package and they paid for it, I was like, oh, I'm onto something. This is great. And so one customer, and it just led to more and more.
But explain that, because people are listening and they're thinking, with inflation, $500, it costs $200 just to get the LLC these days. I mean, can you break that down for us? How did you take $500? What did you invest in? How did you break the $500 down? Tell us what route you took, and how was $500 enough? Yeah,
so when I first started, I rented a room with a real estate agent. The rent was like $250, and we just shared 2 rooms. And
$250 a month?
A month. Mm-hmm. It was like one room suite.
And so you had to trust that you would find another $250 by the time the second month came.
Exactly.
Okay.
Which is why here we are. You have to take bold chances and just believe that it'll happen. So I did the space. Utilities were already included, and then I printed out.
And you found the space just through your networking?
Craigslist.
Through Craigslist.
Craigslist has never let me down. Ever.
No, me either. I live by it too. I mean, when I was apartment hunting in New York, I found all my apartments on Craigslist.
It's so good.
I even found maybe my first 2 in LA on Craigslist as well.
It's so good.
I think it's a very good
You just have to know how to
tool.
search on it.
Yeah.
And then I went to a local college and I printed out brochures for free. And I stood outside, and this is what people don't do. They're not willing to put in the work, especially nowadays. They're not willing to put in the work and to make it happen. I stood outside. I passed out brochures. And after a while, people started coming from the brochures I passed out. Once I got my first paid client, I think the package was like $450. Oh, I made almost all of my money back. And then slowly after time, I'm like, oh, I have to trademark. I have to do this. I have to do that. And as I made money, I just did all those things.
And what were the challenges that you faced along the way? I mean, of course, I can imagine they were plentiful. But, in terms of, transitioning from a dancer to this new brand, to building your own business, what are some of the challenges you encountered along the way? And how did you overcome those challenges?
I guess the biggest one was just validation and gaining trust from the public and customers. When you say I'm a dancer, people are like, okay, so you're like an airhead, you have no knowledge. And I'm like, no, I actually studied the human body at a university for 4 years. I know what I'm doing. So I had to gain the trust of the customer. And once I did that, then the word started to spread. So I would say in the beginning, that was the hardest obstacle I had to overcome. Like, who is this crazy girl telling me I should have her stretch me? And then once they felt it, they were like, oh, I get it. So getting them in the door was the hard part. And once I actually performed the method, it became easier.
Mm-hmm. And did you have the name ready to go? Because it's called KIKA.
That's a good question.
It's called KIKA Stretch Studios.
Yes.
Your name is KIKA.
Yes.
was that intentional? Did you recognize that the benefits of branding your company with your name? Or?
So one of my first clients was Bobby Brown Cosmetics. She came into my little space.
And how do you get a client like Bobby Brown? I mean,
So I had a client who referred her, who did her like in sound system installments. And he was like, oh, Bobby would love this. She's into health and wellness. And so she came in and she's like, is this a franchise? And this was like when I first started. And I was like, oh my God, she sees the vision. And so I started thinking like, oh, she named it Bobby Brown. And then Jane Carter. I started thinking about people who name things after themselves because I knew there would be competition. But one thing people can't be is you, BJ Coleman, right?
Yeah.
So you put your name on it. And I was like, I should put my name on it. Plus, I didn't know that you actually had to trademark your name. This is like 15 years ago. I didn't know you had to actually go through a process to trademark it. So by the time I realized that, I went to trademark it and I saw someone else had my name. It was called Power Stretch Studios. And I called her like, hey, you have my name. And she's like, you want a partner? And I'm like, oh my, she did it on purpose. She saw what I was doing. She tried to lure me in and I was like, no. And then she got aggressive, like, oh, well, it's mine. So I paid these lawyers so much money. At the time, it was like $3,000. At the time, that was a lot. And they were like, yeah, we'll help you.
Get the name back to get Power Stretch
I'll help
back.
you. I paid them the $3,000. They were like, you should just change your name. So I was like, fuck. So I'm like, KIKA Stretch. And so that's how KIKA Stretch became.
And you know, the same thing happened to me.
Really?
Like when I was looking for a website, when I decided to branch out on my own, I wanted to get bjcoleman.com. But someone already had bought bjcoleman.com.
Yep.
And knowing that there's a football player named BJ Coleman as well, would then try to reach out and then, but there's a business in that.
There's a whole business
You can buy
in that.
just domains and then hope that the person who will have it
I have so
wants
many
it
domains
to buy it
now.
from you. Yeah, and now do I do too. I go to GoDaddy and I just buy other I even buy client domains sometimes, but not yours, don't worry.
I got KIKA Wise
But
already.
yes, and then I had a blog called burgersandbourbon.com.
I love that
And I never
name.
maintained it, but now there's a restaurant opened in like the Midwest called Burgers and Bourbon.
See?
And I never trademarked Burgers and Bourbon. That's the importance of trademarking. But they opened their restaurant and then they ended up taking the .com.
The first step is protecting your intellectual property. And so that's like for Black Box, my whole mission is to teach entrepreneurs how to really own their brand the right way. All the horrible things I went through to secure the bag, now I'm teaching others so they don't have to make the same mistakes. And that's like a big one, intellectual property.
Yeah, we'll have a talk offline.
I got
have
you.
some questions for you. When I'm looking at my phone, I don't have any cue cards. This is not the Oprah Winfrey show. I'm just trying to get my questions in. Okay. My understanding is that you did trademark, your approach. That's phenomenal. What is the KIKA method? Can you explain to others, what it is and how they can achieve physical and emotional liberation through gentle and mindful stretching?
Yes. So imagine lying on a mat and having a stretch coach gently stretch out your entire body for you. So it helps take away the tension that's been trapped inside of the body for years. So a lot of people always stretch. Oh, I run, I stretch, I do this, I stretch. But they never get past that one point that they're always trying to get past because they're doing it on their own. So essentially, the stretch coaches at KIKA replace gravity and help you go past your current level. And we track it over time so your range of motion increases. But we're so busy, we work out, we do all these things, and the tension gets trapped inside of your body. You have to let it out. And so by doing so, you live a happier life, stress-free, you sleep better at night, you're able to work out better. And so it's just about improving the quality of your life and keeping you younger inside. It's like, what I say now is it's like Botox for your muscles. Like internal Botox.
And it's preventative.
It's preventative and natural. It's Botox without the tox.
Do you
like that? I came up with that.
Botox without the tox?
The
So it's just
toxis-
Oh,
like
toxicity?
yeah.
Is
Do you get
Botox
it?
toxic?
It's probably not that toxic,
I don't
but
think
it's
it
a
is.
good name. Like, it's a good.
Look, if you like it, I love it. I'm here for it. I had Felicia Butterfield on this show, and I had asked her this question. I think it's interesting to ask you. As a Black woman, is it more important in terms of identity being Black or being a woman?
Whew, BJ. Wow. How do I even answer this question? Is it more important? I honestly cannot separate the two from one another. because I'm both, and they both have a unique battle that has been fought, and my identity is not just woman, but it's Black woman. So just being a woman, let's start there, and being in a leadership role, creating a brand, having children, being mom, flipping pancakes, doing after school homework, leading a team is hard enough. But then the barrier of being a Black woman and kind of having to prove yourself a little bit more than other women is a whole nother, battle. And so I actually just posted about this the other day, battle fatigue, and how after a while you just you overcome so many obstacles, and you've come so far that you never let yourself just like rest and like, chill. And I just had that realization, like, I've done this, I've done that. Now let me just like chill for a minute and just like recover from the battles that I've had to face as being a Black woman.
And what do you do for recovery?
I go to the spa. I lie there under the red light therapy. I get massages. I just went to a sauna.
I get massages like weekly.
Really?
How often do you get massages?
Not often enough, like once a month.
Once a month is good though.
I went to a sauna that was 350 degrees just last week.
How long did you stay in there for?
For like 5 minutes. I mean,
that's a long time for 350 degrees.
Yeah. So I just try to like really allow my body to recover.
Have you done the cold plunge therapy as well?
I have.
I had to.
It's very tough.
It is tough. And they say it's not as beneficial as people think it is.
I like the heat better than the coldness.
And I also feel like the sweat, you're really detoxifying when you sweat.
Everything.
Agree. Are you spiritual?
Very.
Does that help?
Yes.
Are you religious?
I believe in God very deeply. Religion, not so much. Spirituality, yes.
Well, break that down.
Ooh,
what does that mean?
geez.
You believe in God, but you don't believe in religion?
Wait, what's the difference? What would you say is the difference?
Well, for me.
Yes, for you.
For me, religion is a way of understanding God.
Yes, okay.
But for spiritual, for me, is your personal oneness with God.
Love. So for me, I'm glad that's exactly what I'm.
But you can't take my answer.
No, I have to feed off of it because it's great. But you said religion is your understanding of God.
It's a tool to understand God.
It's a tool to understand God,
Yes.
and it's impossible for a human to understand the grace of God or how God works. So I feel like, and I've been a part of 2 different churches that kind of collapsed, and I was avid about going.
They were Christian churches.
Yeah, and so sometimes you can get caught up in the teachings of another person versus the reality of what God really is. And so, as they say in the Bible, don't quote me, but church, when there is one, come somebody help me, when there is one, it's church. Church is you with God by yourself. It doesn't have to be in a huge building with all these people. So I'm very, very deeply, since I was a child, a believer of God, but I don't believe it has to happen inside of a church. It can happen in your living room with a quiet conversation with God.
So do you believe in Jesus?
Oh my, what are you?
I'm just talking to you.
Yes, I believe in Jesus.
So you're Christian?
No, I'm not.
You're not Christian?
I'm non-denominational.
You're non-denominational?
Yeah.
But do you believe that Jesus is your savior? And you
Do
don't have to answer. You think
know
this is
what's
too
so
personal.
crazy about this? I was taught to always say, in Jesus Christ, like
We
mention.
pray, or-
So it's almost like I'm afraid to not mention that because I don't know. I can't say that I know for sure that I have to say that in order for something to work, but I'm also afraid not to say it. I do
Just because you were taught that.
because I was taught that. So I'm like, it's been working so far, so I don't want to switch it up now.
But you don't identify as a Christian.
I would say if I had to choose a religion, it would be Christianity that I identify with.
The reason I'm asking is I just want to know, I guess, ultimately, how does your faith, what role does faith play in your ability to manage your career, your life?
This is an exclusive. You ready for this? So, and we spoke about with my partners, like our stories. So my son's father became like very abusive, and I had to leave him when I was pregnant with my son.
When was this?
This was when my son, when was this? 2000, how old is he? 2009, 10?
So are you married?
I'm married now.
To someone else?
Yeah, to someone else.
Okay, I didn't know this. Okay,
Yeah,
I'm thinking this is
yeah.
your current husband.
No.
Okay.
So two instances happened, and I was like, oh my God, this is like very bad. And so I looked in the mirror, and I was like, God, if you get me out of this situation, I'll have faith in you forever. And I was like, very crazy story, like broke as a joke. And then slowly my life started to turn around. And so whenever I have, and I appreciate you bringing this up, whenever I have an opportunity, I always remember that dark moment in my life, me standing in the mirror crying and just crying out to God, remembering that I'm always supposed to bring it back to him. And so thank you for giving me the space to do just that, because if it wasn't for my faith and just believing and just overcoming so many hard times, and I would never be here. I would have given up. But that is what has kept me going forward.
And the reason why I asked that too is also because I mean, and anyone listening or watching can think differently. And I think you're entitled to whatever you believe, if that works for you.
Yeah.
But I think, faith plays such an important role in how I identify. Mm-hmm. And then ultimately what comes from what I'm trying to create or what I'm trying to build.
Yes.
And so that's why I'm asking for anyone else out there who might be grappling with faith or trying to figure out how it may play a role in their own personal brand. So
I would say take a chance, because you cannot do it relying on just human beings. Like you'll never, I don't know if people, I'm sure they do make it this far without some type of faith. It's very hard. You have to believe in the unknown and things that you don't see. So I would encourage everyone to try it. Give your faith a try.
You are a mother, you're a wife, you're a businesswoman. I mean, I think it's such an antiquated thought of even asking this, but again, you're the second woman on the podcast, and I asked the first one on the podcast. It's not about, falling prey to the idea that a woman can have it all, because, what does that even mean? I think, there's so many social pressures around that idea. But did you ever find yourself asking yourself that? And what does that mean to you, the thought or the notion of a woman having it all?
It's very possible for
a woman. Well, what
woman.
is it then?
What is it?
Because traditionally
Such
it means
a good question.
Being a wife, having a family, having a successful career.
And I've been in rooms where people were like, mainly men, like, why do you keep pushing yourself? Like, or just shocked, like, you're doing what? And for me, there is no balance, but it's the ability to dip into different worlds whenever I want to. I can be can I curse on here?
Yeah.
I can be a boss bitch. I could be...
I like the candle, boss bitch.
Boss bitch, shout out to boss
yeah.
bitch. I can be a submissive wife. Not like that, but you know what I'm saying.
And nothing's wrong with being that if you want to be
There's
that.
nothing, hello.
Right?
Would you like some pancakes today?
Oh, you're talking about in the kitchen. I was talking being submissive elsewhere. But
anywhere.
Yeah, I mean,
wherever you need me to be submissive, I can do that.
Yes.
I'm able to do that. Oh, you need help with your homework, honey? It's just like, it's trippy because, and it's also hard because it's almost like you're schizophrenic. Like, who am I today? And I have to shut my brain down to be mom to my 5-year-old. Like, hi, honey. She's like, put your phone down. Your phone's not important. Like, she actually says that sometimes. And then I'm like, oh, okay, put the phone down. I have to force myself to play so many different roles. But the ability to do all of it allows me to have such a great experience in life where I can say I've done it all, which is the whole point of life. Okay,
now you're tapping into something that I can relate to. I know that's a very gender-specific question, but one thing that you're mentioning, which I know that I do, that I don't even know if other people do, and I've never really, I do talk about this with some friends, and I certainly talk about it with other individuals, but you have to, I feel like I have to have different personalities. And so I think that so many people know me from seeing me in work mode, that they think that I am this, demanding, over the top kind of personality, but at home I'm so chill and I'm so calm. Like you probably wouldn't even recognize me. Most people would not even recognize me in my home or vacation setting. I'm just very laissez-faire, very go with the flow, you know. But at work or in my public persona, I'm a networker, I'm a mover, I'm a shaker, and I have to put on this, kind of personality. But I think that, you know, the key to juggling a lot of life's demands is not so much wearing different hats, but being able to transform your personality to meet the occasion.
Yes, I love that.
So as a mom, you
that.
know, you said when you're a mom, you got to take a minute to decompress, to be in mom mode for your children, which is not the same person who is managing the KIKA Wise Stretch Studio.
And it's so hard because I'm at the point now where like all I want to do is work. I love work. I've met my passion. And so it's hard to just slow down and just be in the present moment. But it's also a great blessing because having children, I'm able to remember how important it is to be present and to put the phone down. So they force me to be human. They teach me how to consistently be human, and I don't get lost in the business world. So I love both worlds. And I love coloring and playing pretend sometimes. Then I'm like, all right, I got to check my email.
Amazing. What do you do to, and I know we talked about recovery and going to the spa and all of that good stuff, but what do you do to center yourself?
Oh, love that. I pray for like an hour. Darren, my partner, we talked about this, like just praying, like, please, God, please. So that's the beginning. But then I picked up running. I've always ran, but now I'm like running, and I'm training for a half marathon. And I love running because it takes me out of my body and I'm unable to think about anything than the present moment. And sometimes I'm like a thinker. It's hard for me to stop thinking. So to find my balance and center, I put myself in a position where I just have to rely on myself. And that for me is running. So it's a hobby. I needed a hobby too. So started doing that.
I understand. I have so many more questions to ask, but
Let's keep it going. Come on.
We're short on time. I only have the studio for a certain amount of minutes. But I do have a rapid fire question round where I ask people. All you do is answer the first thing that comes to mind as best you can. It's very easy. It's nothing like crazy. What are 3 things you never leave home without?
Lip gloss, wallet, and phone.
What is your favorite restaurant or place to close a deal?
Favorite place to close a deal? Los Angeles.
Oh, okay. Is there a place in Los Angeles that you frequent
anywhere,
or like?
As long as we're closing a deal, I'm good with it.
Describe your personal style.
Personal style, casual chic. Casual chic.
What is your life's purpose?
To inspire others to believe in themselves.
What is your go-to accessory?
Oh my gosh. Earrings.
Okay, I like that.
This specifically.
What is one career decision you regret?
Starting a business. No, I'm just playing.
Tell me about it.
Oh, I don't have any. Everything was for a reason.
So you keep everything the same? Every decision?
What do you mean?
In your career, whether that be your dancing career, everything's the same.
I would keep everything the same.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what is the best thing you've ever done for yourself?
Wow. You're going to make me cry, BJ.
Why?
Because that's a good question. The best thing I ever did for myself was thank myself and just thank myself, the little girl. Like, instead of being so hard, I could be really hard. So many goals, just none of that. Just thank you for being here, carrying me this far, just being thankful.
I love that. Now we're out of the rapid fire round. I'm going to ask you a couple more questions, and we're going to wrap it up. As an entrepreneur, I know that success doesn't just happen. It's very hard work. What is the secret to your success?
Purpose keeps me going. What is my purpose? And in different seasons, your purpose is different. Now I'm focused on not myself, but my children, and setting them up, giving them the knowledge that I wish I had when I first started. So it wasn't so hard for me. So now my focus is really setting my children up successfully. And in order to do that, I have to keep going, and I have to meet the goals that I set forth.
I love it. And what nuggets can you share to anybody who's on their entrepreneurial path, and also to anyone who's thinking about franchising specifically, either becoming a franchisor or investing in a franchising property?
Don't ask your friends and family for legal advice.
Why?
Because they're not lawyers. Set yourself up the right way from the beginning, and make sure you have the LLC, make sure you have the trademark.
And do you recommend an LLC or an S Corp or a C Corp?
Well, it's different. It's different for every business. Okay. Get an accountant. That's it. Someone who has 5-star reviews, someone that was referred by someone else. An accountant. Understand how money works, so you understand. It's not hard to get. You just have to be creative in how you get it. For someone who's interested in franchising, most things are franchisable. Even if you think it's not, it probably is. And it sounds like a big, scary F word. It's not. It's actually very simple. It's a little more simple than just regular business. So if you are a small business owner and you want to expand and you see your name nationally, reach out to Black Box Franchising, blackboxfranchising.com, and we got you.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much for joining us.
Is it over?
Yeah, I know. It's so short. Well, somebody was a little late today, but it's not your flight. Not your problem. It was
nervous.
From the flight.
I was nervous.
Oh, stop it.
Scared.
No, thank you, Kika. You're the best. And if you guys are on the East Coast, particularly in New York or New Jersey, they can come to your studio and be stretched.
Yes.
You want to tell everybody where they're located?
Yes. Or? So we have Georgia, New Jersey, Maryland, North Carolina. We just opened in Hoboken, New Jersey, right outside the city. Excited about that. And we have a new little strategy and plan. So stay tuned. Look out for a city near you. And if there's not one by you, hit me up, KikaStretchStudios.com. We'll figure it out.
And you had a really great one here in Calabasas that's no more, that I know a couple of celebrities, friends of mine were using, and I'm so bummed because I was ready to use it myself.
Yes, but I'm going to stretch you after this.
Okay, perfect. Say less. Well, then let's wrap this up.
Fine.
You guys, thanks so much for tuning in to another episode of Image Elevators with BJ Coleman. You can check us out anywhere and everywhere you listen to podcasts, or you can check us out on my YouTube channel, which is youtube.com/Image Elevators with BJ Coleman. Until next time, see you guys later. Thanks.
Bye.
Thank you, Kika.
So much.
You're the best.